What's good, you guys? My pills are starting to kick in too, so I'm feeling a little like lazy. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just ain't no lie. You know what I'm saying? Back to it. Another joint. I know. Fuck. No bueno, bro. No bueno. So this video right, Hizzle Drizzle, like shizzle, bro. Right here. This guy's pretty smart. He's the guy with the Natty Plus protocol. As do about the peptizzles, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so fitness influencers online seem to have absolutely no idea what peptides even are. This video is not meant to call out anyone specifically, but to just inform you guys about peptides with the nuance they deserve. Because it pains me when I watch a YouTube video or an Instagram reel, an influencer makes some blanket statement about peptides. There are some influencers who are pro-peptides or anti-peptides. This is nonsensical. There's some influencers who think you're unnatural if you take peptides or you remain natty if you take peptides. Both of these ideas are nonsensical. There's some influencers who defend their natty status by saying they have never taken peptides. As you will see, this is almost certainly false. By the way, if you guys are interested in some performance-enhancing peptides, which we'll discuss later on in this video, just head to the Natty Plus cheat sheet in the description below. It's free, but you guys can support the channel by taking a look, which I really appreciate. Anyway, broad assertion peptides are silly. It's like saying things are good or things are bad. Peptide is such a broad category that there's very little you can say about all peptides. What can you say about all peptides? Well, actually nothing more than the definition of a peptide. A peptide is simply a chain of amino acids linked together by peptide bonds. This is really all that differentiates peptides from other chemicals. You could say they carry information, sure, but without diving too deep into philosophy or something like that, you say everything in existence does. You could be more specific and say they carry a biological message, but so does water. Water influences how cells behave, so it's completely fair to say that water sends a biological message to cells. So peptides simply carry their information via a chain of amino acids linked together by peptide bonds. Some peptides are produced naturally within the body, glucagon, for example. Some peptides are lab-made analogs that are administered exogenously, semaglutide, for example. Some peptides are simply amino acid sequences that are obtained from food. For example, casein in milk is broken down into casein peptides during digestion. Some peptides are well-researched and safe. Some peptides have little research and are more experimental. Some people may even rely on exogenous peptides to survive. Insulin is a peptide which is mandatory for those with type 1 diabetes. You have collagen peptides that are sold on Amazon. You also have human growth hormone, which is highly regulated. Yes, human growth hormone is indeed a peptide. Specifically, it's a peptide hormone like insulin. What's the difference between a peptide and a peptide hormone? Well, the line is blurrier than you think. Hormone simply refers to a molecule that moves throughout the bloodstream to a distant target and plays a relatively vital signaling role. But of course, it's somewhat subjective what can be classified as a vital signaling role. Vitamin D used to be considered a vitamin, hence the name. Now, the consensus is that vitamin D is a hormone, specifically a steroid hormone, not a peptide hormone. Steroid here, like peptide, really just refers to the molecular structure. That's really the only significance of the word peptide. It describes the structure of a molecule. So hopefully you can see why it doesn't make sense when someone says all peptides are bad, and it still doesn't make sense to say all peptides are good, even if you have no risk aversion whatsoever, because some peptides play contradicting roles. Most of you are probably familiar with the growth hormone boosting peptides like ipamorelin and CJC1295, but did you know there's also a peptide called somatostatin? It's produced endogenously and it inhibits growth hormone. It could be taken exogenously, although no one would really want to, except in the case of acromegaly, although in this case, patients are generally given therapeutic somatostatin analogs. Also, hopefully you can see why it doesn't make sense to say peptides make you natural, or that you can take peptides and retain your natural status. Some peptides are banned by WADA, and some are totally WADA compliant, although I don't consider WADA to be the arbiter of naturalness anyway, because cannabis is banned by WADA. BPC-157 is a peeling peptide that is also banned by WADA, but I mean, does anyone really consider someone unnatural if they've only taken BPC-157? Probably not. Yes. And hopefully you can also see how silly it is when an influencer claims that they've never taken peptides and that somehow that should dictate whether you classify them as natural or not. Most of us have taken exogenous peptides, like collagen peptides at one point or another. And at the very least, our food is broken down into peptides during the digestive process. So we should not ever base our decision to take a compound on whether it's a peptide or not. Whether something is a peptide or not is completely irrelevant to whether we should take it or not. Caring if something is a peptide leads to emotional decisions based on how we feel about a particular label. We shouldn't care if a compound is considered natural. We shouldn't care if a compound is considered unnatural unless we're competing. We shouldn't care if a compound is a peptide. We should care whether a particular compound is going to benefit our overall well-being. When it comes to peptides, Some probably will. Some definitely won't. So with that being said, what personally are some of my favorite peptides? My favorite group of peptides are the healing peptides, primarily BPC-157 and TB500. TB500 seems to be more effective at healing muscular injuries. It has the ability to penetrate into deeper tissues. BPC-157 appears to be more broad spectrum, effective at healing many different aspects of our physiology. BPC-157 can be more convenient because, unlike TB500, it is orally bioavailable to a degree. We do know that it remains stable in gastric juice, so at the very least, it will help heal the gut. We're not sure to what degree it goes systemic, but rodent studies suggest that it does circulate systemically enough to heal tendon injuries. I believe that it is effective systemically. The dose required is just much larger than in the injectable form. My second favorite group of peptides are the growth hormone enhancing peptides, specifically the ipamorelin CJC1295 combo, the effects of which are comparable to MK677. Now, these peptides right now are less relevant to my protocol because I prefer the convenience and the neurological benefits of the ghrelin receptor agonism produced by MK677. Ghrelin appears to be very beneficial from a cognitive and neuroplasticity standpoint, which is one of the reasons MK677 has been shown to be neuroregenerative. But not everyone appreciates the ghrelin receptor agonism because it increases hunger, sometimes quite dramatically. So if someone has trouble restricting their calories, ipamorelin and CJC1295 may be the play. Ipamorelin is a ghrelin receptor agonist as well, but it's a partial agonist, and it increases hunger to a much lesser extent than MK. And CJC1295 is a growth hormone releasing hormone agonist, so it doesn't increase hunger at all. The downside of these peptides is that they aren't orally bioavailable, and their half-lives are relatively short, so practically they would need to be injected multiple times per day. Although, commonly, CJC1295 is paired with DAC, drug affinity complex, which dramatically extends the half-life to where injections just a couple times per week are sufficient. And yes, CJC1295 with DAC is in the Natty Plus cheat sheet in the description below. And then a couple other peptides I've tried are melanocortin receptor agonists like PT141 and melanotan. So the melanocortin system is involved in appetite and sexual function. So these compounds tend to increase sex drive and reduce hunger. I don't really have any issues with either, so I don't really have a desire to take these anymore. Melanotan comes with the added benefit or detriment, depending on who you ask, of making you tan. So tan skin means more melanin in the skin. Melanin is protective of UV damage. It's also an antioxidant and can improve overall skin health. It indeed worked for me, but I just don't really have the desire to be that tan, so I just don't really use it anymore. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys learned something about peptides today. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
The world's first titanium nonstick pan. It's gonna blow your hair back.
Hello, I'm Connor Murphy, the human guinea pig, holder of the unofficial world record for the most performance-enhancing substance experiments where I documented and openly disclosed my lab work. You know, some of these compounds have been thoroughly researched with an abundance of human randomized controlled trials. Some of these compounds have never been formally tested, not even on animals. And today, I am going to reveal my top 10 favorite PEDs that have personally tried. So I ranked these supplements in order. Number 1 is my favorite PED of all time. This ranking is based on each supplement's bodybuilding utility, its potential to burn fat and or build muscle, its side effect profile, and its effect on my mood, energy levels, and overall sense of well-being. I'll briefly touch on each supplement in this video if you want to do some more research, which I highly recommend. I've done more comprehensive videos on each supplement on this YouTube channel. And of course, for all your supplement needs, as well as my updated current PED protocol, check out the Natty Plus cheat sheet in the description below if you have not already. Let's jump right into it with number 10. So number 10 is actually a buff for one of the higher ranked compounds. By itself, it's not particularly performance enhancing, but it's analogous to an augmentation of a weapon in a video game. So a weapon, it may be one of the best with a particular enhancement, but not even worthy of equipping without it. So in this case, spoiler alert, the weapon is MK677 and the buff is Slim Pills. The more insulin sensitive you are, the more inclined carbohydrates are to be uptook by the muscles rather than being stored as fat. So they are somewhat beneficial for overall body composition. But the main performance enhancing appeal of Slim Pills is that they mitigate the bottleneck of MK677, the growth hormone secretagogue that doubled my IGF-1 levels. The limiting factor of any growth hormone stimulating compound is its propensity to increase insulin resistance. So slim pills counteract this and have allowed me to cycle MK for much longer while my insulin sensitivity remains better than baseline according to my HbA1c or average blood sugar levels. In fact, if it weren't for slim pills, I probably wouldn't consistently take MK677 because of its propensity to increase insulin resistance, which is why slim pills are worthy of making this list. Number 9, it's creatine. I'm fairly reluctant to even include creatine in this list because although it is one of the most studied, the most reliably effective, and the most well-tolerated supplements, everyone knows about it, and it's just gotten to the point where it's extremely overhyped on social media these days. It's being touted by Derek from More Plates, More Dates as one of the only natural myostatin inhibitors.
When do bodybuilders come off creatine?
They don't. Interestingly enough, it's one of the only natural compounds that may inhibit myostatin too.
Even though, well, one, it's debatable whether creatine monohydrate is natural because it's completely synthetic. It's synthesized in a lab via the chemical reaction of sarcosine and cyanamide. It has a slightly different molecular structure from the creatine found in nature. And there are numerous natural myostatin inhibitors, including virtually every herb that increases testosterone. There's also vitamin D, and epicatechin is a much more potent myostatin inhibitor than creatine. It's actually included in a supplement called Muscle Pro that I currently take. But creatine has certainly worked for me. You know, the first time my muscles became fully saturated with creatine, I immediately increased my strength by like 20%. And its main bodybuilding appeal may actually be its aesthetic benefit. So it floods your muscles with water, which does make them look significantly bigger. Number 8, this is a more obscure supplement that some of you may not have heard of. It's tesofensine. So this is a triple monoamine reuptake inhibitor. It inhibits the reuptake of dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine. It was originally developed for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, but it was quickly noticed for its potent weight loss and mood elevating effects that I can certainly attest to. That's why it's one of my favorite compounds. I have motivation and energy, and I lean down quite effortlessly because I am much more easily satiated. Now, this compound needs to be handled with caution, though, because it's extremely powerful, and you can't safely take it alongside monoamine oxidase inhibitors like 9-MeBC, methylene blue, or Syrian-Rue because you do risk serotonin syndrome. And this is why I'm not currently taking it at the moment. And it has an extremely long half-life, like 8 days, which is a double-edged sword. If you take too much, you could be tweaking for days straight. But with responsible, consistent dosing, a steady state concentration is reached after a month or so, and withdrawals aren't common because it leaves your system so slowly, like it has a natural taper built in. Number 7 is BPC-157, the most prominent healing peptide. Joe Rogan has discussed it several times. Everyone seems to be using it. Alex Eubank was castigated for taking it. Many people believed it caused him to forfeit his natty card back in the day when he wasn't on TRT, because BPC-157 is indeed banned by WADA. Now, again, it's one of those compounds where by itself, it's not particularly performance enhancing, but it dramatically improves recovery, which allows you to train harder. It expedites tissue repair by upregulating some growth factors, promoting new blood vessel formation, reducing inflammation, and stimulating collagen synthesis. It also upregulates growth hormone receptor expression. So let's say you're using a growth hormone releasing peptide or MK677, that additional growth hormone will be even more effective. Now, the BPC-157 capsules, they do seem to be somewhat orally bioavailable, at least in the gut. Anecdotal reports indicate that it does have some systemic healing capacity as well. Although if I really wanted to ensure that I'm healing an injury, I would inject it subcutaneously near the problem area. Now, number 6 is tadalafil, which is the generic name for the...
I heard someone else touch up on that about the... So BPC-157, it's already found in the. So by taking this, that when you take the BPC-157 orally, it's going to enhance like already the production of the one in your belly, in your gut. So that's more for like a healing within like the gut. You get what I'm saying? So if you want the BPC-157 for the part where it repairs the torn ligaments, muscles, tissues, nerves, and all that stuff, what you do is you get I saw plenty of videos that say I'm surprised you didn't get that. It's for the intramuscular one you have to do, it's not the subcutaneous, it's supposedly intramuscular into the area that you have the injury. I've seen like 6 videos where they say the same thing, where if it's the BPC-157 where you swallow it, that's going to be healing for the gut. But if let's say you have a torn rotator cuff and you have a shoulder messed up, you were to get the same amount of injection of BPC-157 and TB500, and you would intramuscularly inject into the injury site. I saw that on a lot of videos. I'm going to look more into it, but I'm pretty sure like it's been like 5-6 videos where I've seen where people, you know, with high reputations and stuff like that say that you for the gut healing you take the pill, for the torn ligaments you inject intramuscularly into the whatever. Let's get back to it though.
The PDE5 inhibitor Cialis, if you're familiar with this compound. You know it possesses a particular performance-enhancing utility in the realm of romance, but it's not only one specific organ that becomes engorged with blood. Tadalafil is effectively a gentle vasodilator. It causes blood vessels to widen. This is why it's known to slightly lower blood pressure, because it provides more space for the same amount of blood to move through. Now, if you're fully hydrated, Tadalafil can give you a muscle pump stronger than any pre-workout. But its beneficial effects for bodybuilding get even more interesting. So Tadalafil has been shown to improve lean mass in men. How exactly? Well, there are a multiplicity of mechanisms at play. For example, increased intracellular volume can send growth signals, and amplifying nitric oxide signaling can improve glucose uptake and therefore nutrient partitioning. These muscle building effects may be more subtle than some of the other compounds coming up, but the massive pumps and the health benefits do make Tadalafil worthy of this list. Number 5, the prohormone 3AD. This is one of the most intriguing compounds I've tried. It's a prohormone, which means it's directly converted into an active hormone inside the body. Why this particular
What was it called? BA what? 3AD. Search 3AD. Oh, I didn't have it. 3AD. No. Well,
compounds I've tried. It's a prohormone, which means it's directly converted into an active hormone inside the body. Why this particular prohormone is so compelling? It's because it doesn't seem to noticeably suppress endogenous testosterone production based on the anecdotal reports. So during a 2-pill, 3 times per day, 1-month experiment, my LH remained stagnant, indicating my HPTA axis was not suppressed. My testosterone actually significantly increased. That would indicate that 3AD somewhat converts into testosterone, but we actually don't know precisely where 3AD is on the biosynthetic tree. We know it's an adrenal metabolite derived from dehydroandrosterone, and it could convert into androsterone, a 3-alpha androstenediol, or a combination of different hormones. It doesn't seem to aromatize into estrogen, though, so my estrogen decreased slightly while on cycle. And during this cycle, I noticed testosterone-like benefits, a slight increase in strength and energy with no noticeable side effects. And the anecdotal reports seem to disclose similar experiences. So out of all the supplements I've taken, this is probably the least researched, though, which is why I don't really talk about it that often. Number 4 is the SARM AC262. So I'm extremely wary when it comes to incorporating SARMs into my protocol. Why? Well, primarily because they can suppress endogenous testosterone production, and idiosyncratically, they can be stressful on the liver. Now, although AC262 it doesn't have an abundance of scientific research, the anecdotal reports strongly suggest that its side effect profile is one of, if not the best, which is why it's my favorite SARM and the only one that I intermittently use. I've experimented with 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, and even 30 milligrams daily, 1 to 2 months at a time, and noticed no tangible signs of testosterone suppression or liver stress. And AC262, it made it quite effortless for me to shred down without modifying my diet or lifestyle. Now, to be extra safe, I have not taken AC262 without endogenous testosterone boosting supplements like blue and black ox testosterone boosters and or enclomiphene to ensure my testosterone is not suppressed. Spoiler alert, these testosterone boosting agents may be discussed later in this top 10 list. In fact, number 3 is any high quality testosterone boosting blend. Now, test boosters, they don't have the best reputation, one, because the most common ones are underdosed proprietary blends that simply aren't effective. And also steroid users, they love to conflate all testosterone boosters and proclaim that they're all scams to justify hopping on testosterone. But the reality is, me and many people who have messaged me have significantly increased their testosterone just by using test boosters alone. And personally, I did an experiment with a double dosage of blue and black ox testosterone boosters and increased my testosterone from around 350 to over 700 in just a couple weeks. Now, to be clear, I was taking 24 pills worth of testosterone boosting supplements daily. But after that, I have been able to maintain on average 600 testosterone with just a single dosage of each. Now, for this class of supplements, but blue and black ox, they contain a wider diversity of compounds, and accordingly, they when combined together. Number 2.
They told me to follow my dreams, but they didn't tell me that it would be 600 hours of that. See, I couldn't afford this, so I gave my inbox.
I alluded to this earlier. So most people appreciate MK677 for its growth hormone boosting effects, but to really ascertain MK677's effectiveness, we need to examine the IGF-1 increase because growth hormone, it fluctuates throughout the day. So during my 1 month, 20 milligram daily MK677 experiment, my IGF-1 slightly more than doubled from 142 to 314 nanograms per milliliter. In terms of muscle growth, one is probably the most impactful biomarker after testosterone. But personally, the reason why MK677 is one of my favorite compounds is because of the sleep and recovery benefits. So I am in the majority of the people whose sleep is positively impacted from MK. Dreams are more vivid and I wake up much more rested. And I've been able to avoid the most common drawback of MK677, which is a decrease in insulin sensitivity by utilizing stills and adjunct. So during the 20 milligram daily experiment, my insulin sensitivity actually improved based on my HbA1c. Luckily, I am not sensitive to the prolactin increase, and I minimize water retention by cycling it 5 days on, 2 days off, or 2 days on, 1 day off. So I've been able to consistently implement it without tangible side effects. And some people consider the hunger increase a disadvantageous side effect. MK677 does mimic ghrelin, the hunger hormone, but I appreciate the brain benefits that ghrelin provides, so I actually embrace the hunger. And finally, number one, if you're a longtime viewer of this channel, you probably guessed that my number one favorite performance-enhancing compound is enclomiphene. So enclomiphene boosts endogenous testosterone production. Testosterone, it's not only a beneficial hormone for muscle growth and fat loss, but also for libido, drive, motivation, cognitive function. And I think it's critical that we implement supplemental approaches to raise our testosterone to counteract the endocrine disrupting environment that we live in. And enclomiphene is the most powerful endogenous testosterone boosting agent that there is. At just 6.25 milligrams daily, it boosted my testosterone all the way up to 1,120, which is a higher testosterone level than many people achieve on TRT. And the benefit that is unlike TRT is that there's no commitment. It's non-suppressive. In fact, it does the opposite. So I can just discontinue it at any time and simply return to baseline or remain slightly above. Unfortunately, I have been able to avoid any side effects because I keep my dosage quite low. I believe the standard dosage of 12.5 to 25 milligrams daily is way too high. Personally, I've never taken above 6.25 milligrams. And for the past year or so, I've been reaping the benefits of significantly higher testosterone. So yeah, thanks for tuning into this top 10 list. You guys can find any of these supplements that I discussed in this list in the Natty Plus cheat sheet in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Imagine one weekly shot that taps 3 levers at once, turns down the appetite, sharpens your mealtime insulin response, and nudges fat burning. Well, that's retatrutide. And it's posting some of the biggest weight loss numbers we've ever seen in trials. So today, I'm going to take you through and beyond the headlines so you understand not just what it is, but how it works, what the science says about dosing, side effects, muscle retention, and how it might and might not fit into bodybuilding and high performance sport. Welcome back to the IFPro Ask Me Anything podcast, the show where elite performance meets evidence-based strategy. I'm Dr. Dwayne Jackson, medical scientist, exercise physiologist, and health and performance specialist. Now, before we get into the science, make sure that you follow the IFBB AMA podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow at IFBB AMA on Instagram. You can also find me at DRDN Jackson on the socials, and tag me with your questions and I'll line them up for future episodes. And remember, gang, this show is for education and entertainment only. Retatrutide is investigational and not FDA approved, and nothing here is medical advice. Always work with a qualified healthcare provider before starting or changing any medication, supplement, or training program. So what is retatrutide? Retatrutide is also known as LY3437943 in the research world. And it's what's called a triple agonist. That means it activates 3 different types of receptors in the body. Retatrutide blends all 3 into one injection. And here's why that matters. Because different mechanisms can mean different results, not just for weight loss, but how your body composition shifts and how your metabolism behaves, and then how you perform in the gym. Let's look at the mechanisms a little bit further and see how the drug behaves in the body. Retatrutide has a half-life of about 6 days, which is long enough for it to be dosed just once a week via subcutaneous injection. Now, the drug's exposure is dose proportional, meaning that higher doses give proportionally higher blood levels. And like other incretins, it slows gastric emptying, or emptying of the digestive tract. That's the part how it keeps you feeling like you're full. But it's also how gastrointestinal side effects are the most common. For athletes, understanding PK is important because a long half-life means two things. You get steady exposure once you're at the target dose. But if you overshoot and side effects hit, you can't steer clear quickly. So you're essentially locked in for several days. Retatrutide significantly improved blood sugar control and weight loss versus a placebo. More dose does equal more loss. But remember, until you hit a point where the curve flattens and the side effects start to take over. Even though retatrutide isn't FDA approved, conversations and usage has already started in bodybuilding and performance circles. It's been going on for quite a while. And some of what is happening is a long way from how the drug was actually studied. So first, a disclaimer here. Any use right now is off-label, it's illegal and potentially unsafe. And the only legitimate dosing data that we really do have is from those controlled research settings that I've already mentioned. Playing around with a polypharmacy approach like this, make sure that you're getting enough food in while you're doing this, because multiple things like thyroid hormone, clenbuterol, any other stimulants, and then the retatrutide as a combo will really, really tank appetite. So, really pay attention to that. One variation that's actually popped up is splitting low dose into 2 or 3 smaller injections, or microdosing, we're calling it. And for example, you take, 1 milligram 3 times a week instead of 3 milligrams once a week. And the theory behind it is that smaller, more frequent doses smooth out peaks and valleys in blood levels, potentially reducing those side effects while keeping the appetite suppression pretty steady. I have played around, done some research on myself with this because of all the clients and everything that have asked about it. I wanted to get a decent feel for how this works. And I did try 0.5 milligram 3 times a week, going up to 1 milligram 3 times a week, and did notice that the effects of the actual retatrutide start to diminish at about day 4. And when you kind of top things up that way, that you do get a decent reestablishment, appetite suppression and everything else. I did notice a massive amount of loss of food noise. In fact, I didn't know that I had so much food noise until I tried this stuff out. And I'll tell you, after about probably 30 years, 25 or 30 years of setting alarms to eat when I was, pushing to be 300 pounds, I didn't realize that my body still, was stuck in the this old school phase, circadian rhythms, and that's probably why I was waking up at 3 in the morning all the time, because I did notice that the food noise diminished, and it was a very nice quiet time. Let's just say that. There's no clinical data to support or refute this approach of multi-dosing, microdosing, whatever you call it. And really, that's because the drug's half-life is approximately 6 days. So these extra injections may just be adding more complexity with a clear benefit, but the anecdotes out there right now say otherwise. So across all of these methods that I just mentioned, the biggest mistake I see is treating the scale as one of the only measures of success.
Let's see what else. Let's talk about some tremolo real quick. Oh, that's a long-ass video, bro.
Oh, before you leave, can you turn that document into a PDF for me? Thanks.
At 5:30 on a Friday? Actually, wait. I think it'd be easier to use Scribe and show you how to do it.
What?
I just sent you a step-by-step.
Try to have realistic goals. Try not to look like your favorite movie star that was ripped for their special role where they said they just ate chicken and broccoli and rice and trained 4 hours a day, natural. Because they probably didn't do that. Coach Greg, and today I'm going to be talking about Tren. I'm going to explain why I won't be using this ever again. I'm going to explain all the problems that are associated with it. I'm going to explain why so people feel the need to use it, why it's so often abused. Basically everything you needed to know about this thing. All right. So before I get into all this, I am no freaking doctor. I don't know anything for real about any of this stuff. Okay. So don't listen to anything I say other than make sure you don't break any laws, don't do anything stupid, and don't be a moron. That's it. Just don't. Okay. So this video is not to promote its use. It's mostly to dispromote, unpromote, or do the opposite of promote. I ever used it before? Yes, I've used it at least 10 times. Yes, of course it works. Works a lot. Works incredibly well. So why wouldn't I just use it if it's so amazing? Because it's not safe. It's not the smartest thing to do. There's safer ways to use it, as in it's safer to drink half a pint of vodka and drive than drink a whole pint of vodka and drive. Doesn't mean it's safe to drink and drive. Does that make sense? It's safer to smoke half a pack of cigarettes a day than a full pack. Yeah, okay. So why do I not think that you should use it? Or, well, why won't I use it? I mean, you can do whatever the heck you want. I'm not your boss. I'm not your doctor. And by the way, Tren is not for humans. It's not made for humans. It's made for like animals, like cattle. Okay, so HRT clinics should not be prescribing it, even though one of my clients has gone to one, which they are. It's ridiculous. They're in so many different countries. The laws are so different, and people will get away with anything if they can try to make money. So having coached so many different people and hearing stories from so many people around the world, it's amazing what I've seen. I'm going to get into what some of the main side effects are and what some of the people that have spoken to me on the phone have experienced, but I'm also going to explain my own experiences. What are some of the main reasons, or what's the main single reason I'm not using Tren? Okay. The main reason is for health, for my healthiness, to live longer, to be able to survive past 50. I'm only 44 in real life. Sometimes I say I'm 98. I'm not actually 98. Believe what you want. So I'm 44, and it would be amazing if I could live to be 94, 84. You know, a lot of my grandparents lived to 94 plus. So who knows? But using Tren certainly is not going to increase your life expectancy. If you want to live a long and healthy life, it's certainly not the best thing to take. Okay. Why would people take it? It's so strong, and people are so addicted to looking their best that people will basically risk anything to have their dream body, or to even to look just a little bit better. We are obsessed as society with looking a certain way. There's a lot of S's there. Okay. So don't be surprised that people take anabolics and PEDs and all this stuff to look the way they want to look. You're going to judge us or judge other people for taking certain things when the whole world wants the best diet, the crash diet, the magic pill. We dress the best clothes, shoes. We do our hair, makeup, breast implants, Botox, lip filler, implants. We do everything to look a certain way. We suntan to get our skin darker. We wear creams and everything. It's all about looks. Society is looks-based. Tren is in that lump of things that make us look better. And we're willing to do anything to look better. It doesn't matter. It's your ego, whatever. So to just judge people for that, it's kind of wrong. Of course, we're going to do it, but you should know where it stems from. And that's that desire to look, that freakish body, to get noticed, attention, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever. All right. So why is it bad for our health? Why can't I just take it and not be healthy? Well, one big thing it does is it screws up your cholesterol. So cholesterol gets out of whack. So your HDL is down, LDL is up. HDL-LDL ratio is off. And that can lead to cardiovascular disease. You could get a heart attack, a stroke, atherosclerosis, arteriosclerosis, heart health problems, the vascular system. Say you don't want to die of that. Very common death for men and also for women, heart attacks. You use a lot of Tren, more chance of getting a heart attack. Your kidneys. These are important organs in the body, and it can affect the kidneys in a negative way. So if you are going to risk your health by taking it, do be aware that it can harm the kidneys, and make sure you're getting your blood work, getting things checked out with your doctor to make sure that the risks are at a minimum. I've had debates with people. Well, I take this and that. I'm healthy because my blood work says so. Well, it can say so, but doesn't mean that it's not having any negative side effects on the inside. Blood work is great, and it does help you, but it's not the be all, end all, holy grail of saying you're healthy, okay? for example, you could be in a normal health level and be normal for your age and normal for everything. But maybe if you didn't use that item, you would be even better. You would be at the high norm. You'd be at like the elite top of the world level. So rather than being like awesome and living to 95, you only live to 85. It's still longer than most people, but it's 10 years less long than you could have. So although it looks like you're normal, it's less optimal than your body could have been. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. One other thing I hated about it when I was taking it, anxiety. It makes you feel like garbage. You just feel like you want to end the cycle and be done with it. It just makes you feel like stressed out and like all the time. It's hard to explain. Okay, you're very anxious, you don't feel good, and you're not happy about it. It's the opposite of the feelings that you'd want. Another thing, insomnia, trendsomnia. I hated it. I have enough sleep problems as is without adding on trendsomnia. Okay, narcolepsy on top of that, not sleeping well, falling asleep and then you can't sleep at night when you want to, and you're up all night. It sucks. The heat of it, I don't care if I have to sweat more and bed sheets are wet. It didn't bother me, but it's certainly not good, okay? But not sleeping sucks. I would say 1 in 3 people who hire me have a sleep problem. Like I could call it insomnia or just not able to get a good night's sleep. It's probably one of the most underrated things you can do in this world. Underrated. We all will take the fat burner to lose fat and this and that, but nobody thinks about, well, what am I going to take to make sure I'm sleeping well? It's such an important factor in muscle growth, repair, and just making you feel good, okay? So get your sleep, and if you're not, go see a doctor. Get that sleep issue fixed up. Another thing is sex drive. For me, it always went up with it, but it would go down after a while. It doesn't last forever, and certainly all good things come to an end, and if you're taking it, and then you have to stop, well, that sex drive that was once increased can be the opposite and be dead. Another thing people are always worried about is hair. People are upset.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Whoa. People are obsessed with losing their hair. I never had issues with trend and hair loss. Lots of people do. For me, it grew more hair. I got hairy beast, like shave my back. I never had this problem. Now I have to shave my back, get my girlfriend to shave my back every week. Never had hair problem. When I was 30 years old, there was no shaving my hair on my back. But all of a sudden, trend went in and man, the hair grew. So that's the opposite problem that I had, but it sucks. It's not a pleasant thing to have to shave more often than you did. Another thing is it can cause anger issues in many people, not in me. You guys will write comments, oh, you're on the trend. I'm not on trend. It's not doing any effect on my attitude. It's just how many stupid comments and idiots I have to deal with on a daily basis. That's what pisses me off. Not that I'm on trend, because I'm not. I'm on HRT, 140 mgs a week test. That's what I'm on. You don't have to believe it. Just because I'm more jacked than 99% of you doesn't mean I'm on more gear than 99% of you. 50% of the people that take anabolics don't even look like they work out. They're fat, overweight pieces of poop. I'm not judging them for being overweight and out of shape. I'm just calling it like it is. And you all think that if you look at the big dudes in the gym, they're the ones that are on the trend. Half the time, it's the people that don't even look like they work out. They just want to look like they work out. That's where they're taking it. All the time, half my clients who are on anabolics don't even look like they work out. Believe it or not, it's not the end-all, be-all, end-all, secret holy grail of muscle growth. You still need genetics, and you still need hard work. You can't just take this stuff and magically become awesome. Unfortunately, you can. If you could, it would be great, but you can't. And it has to be legal, prescribed by your doctor, and never break the law, and then it would be great. And have no side effects, and be awesome, and have everything awesome, and be cheap, and readily available, and prescribed by your, then it would be awesome. And if you could afford to buy the food, it went in a gym membership and the whole, and it would be awesome. It would. It really would, but it's not, and it never will be. All right, another main problem for other people, not for me, test suppression. That means it's not producing your own test. And now why not for me? Because I'm on HRT. It wouldn't matter. I'm injecting my own test. Okay. So if you're on test, you don't need to worry about it. If you are doing tren and you stop, it's going to suppress your own body's natural production of test. What that means is when you stop, your body, it's on vacation. The nuts are smaller, they're shrunk, they're not producing test. What do you think happens to your gains? They go way down. Everything goes way down. You have the energy of a 95-year-old and you suck and you lose everything. What do you think that makes people do? It makes them go back on. So you start using tren and you think,
oh. Damn, bro, that's 40 minutes, cuz that's 10 past my limit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what, I ain't tell me shit. Look, ain't nobody here. All right, so I'm finna cancel this one, bro. Deuces.